Tonight's top story, recap and interview from the Daymar Rally. The annual Daymar Rally was held last week, where 72 teams from all over the system went head-to-head to see who could finish the 360km course in the shortest amount of time. After passing the first checkpoint 38 kilometers into the race was considered weapons-free, which had the crowd on their toes in excitement. The three vehicle classes, bikes, buggies and rovers, competed apart from each other, and each class of vehicles gave us their own kind of excitement. The speedy bike class even gave us some weapons action, as the race leader in an Apua Nox were suddenly being chased by an all-weapons blazing Drake Dragonfly. Our producer even thought the bike class was the most aesthetically pleasing, with the hovering bikes soaring effortlessly across the dunes. But the aesthetics might also have been enhanced by the excellent work of cameraman Terada, who even after the race was finished kept his camera rolling to catch an eclipsing Daymar over Crusader. We have one of our drones on Daymar and are getting an interview with Team Exile, who flew in from Levski. They're packing up the last of their equipment but could spare one of their riders for an interview. Jade, welcome to Stanton Today. You were competing in the bike class, right?
I was, and I finished. I guess I can say I survived.
You're one of the lucky few then.
Yeah.
Last year, you had clear skies. This year, you had a few sandstorms coming in. How did that affect your racing ability?
Well, as a Dragonfly driver, it was, very hard with them at night. In the day, I could kind of make my way through, but at night, if you caught a lot of air off of a canyon, it was very hard to see your landing until you were right on top of it. So the dust storms that have come about recently have been incredible. I mean, even the erosion they've caused where they've exposed these really jagged rocks. It's just amazing how dynamic, the Desert Moon is. It really is the filthiest race in the verse.
The hovering bike class looks really aesthetically pleasing and almost easy compared to buggies and rovers. Are there any dangers you face as a bike rider that we don't consider when watching?
Well, it may look easy, but all you have to do is look at how many people from the bike division finished as opposed to how many people actually started. You don't fly over all rocks, and in fact, you can end up landing on top of rocks. There are certain rocks that will, almost instant kill you if you're on a Nox, for instance. I saw that the eventual champion finished on a Nox. It's a definite fair play to him, but most everybody else were taking Dragonflies just for their durability. So it's not so simple that you just skate over everything.
Speaking of durability, how many replacement Dragonflies did your team bring to the race?
Well, due to the fact that my support pilot had been at the big pre-party send-off for Team Exile at Levski the night before, drank a little bit too much, arrived 5 minutes before the race was to start. My backup driver was never able to even make it out of the Nix system due to some drug issues. It's a case where I loaded all I could in the amount of time I had, which was 2 extra bikes, and I obviously rode one. I ended up needing all 3. The first bike, it had an issue. Second bike got destroyed after a firefight with another racer, and my third bike is the one I finished on, so yeah.
You mentioned the firefight with another racer. What happened?
Well, about 10 minutes out of Eager Flats, the first checkpoint out of the armistice zone, I thought I was being fired at by another bike, but I couldn't see anything on my radar. And at a certain point, I saw somebody off to my right, and they got in front of me. So I returned fire, and, the firefight ensued. I took enough damage that I went down to 51 meters a second. They were still at full speed, so they caught up to me once I passed them. I disabled their bike, but they were able to get it going again, and they got right behind me and lit me up. So I got off my bike. I knew the bike was lost at that point. Had my support ship land. My support ship had no radar, no personal markers. We actually were navigating by the night sky at that point. I had to basically run 1.5 kilometers to my support ship to get another bite because they didn't know where I was. So that was a pretty hectic part of the race.
Was it hectic enough for you to be scared of coming back next year?
No, I mean, I've considered, whether I should, because we have another racer in our organization who's sort of chomping at the bit to race, and he was pushing me all during our practices all year. So I'd like to give him the opportunity if he wants it, but I will be back in some form, either as a racer, a backup driver, or support.
Good to hear. We thank Jade of Team XL for taking the time to speak to us. Apart from the bikes, the buggy class treated us with some amazing stunt jumps over the canyons of Daymar, whereas the rover class was plagued with technical difficulties and Daymar outlaws. Not a single rover made it across the finish line, but notably, one of the rover drivers who had his rover destroyed was still in the race on his feet, long after all the other rover teams were incapacitated. The runner's name was Kane, representing the Daedalus Initiative team, and even though he did not make it very far on the course, he had the crowd support in his back as he for so very long managed to stay alive in the desert. To his last breath he fought to stay in the race, finding a rock to hide behind, but eventually even he could not resist falling victim to the outlaws. This is what it looked like, and we want to warn sensitive viewers about strong images.
Talking to them at the moment and just talking to the server leader of that division. If they didn't receive their first warning, we'll look at reinstating them into that fourth place
We
position.
have, breaking news. Kane is under fire from... Oh, no. I'm sorry, Corsair, to interrupt
okay.
you there.
No.
Kane
Watch Kane
has... ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, Kane has been...
Organizers managed to get an interview with him after he had been cared for by emergency services, and although new to the races, he had the most humbling answers to their questions. Kane thanked the fans for their support as it kept him going. On the subject of the outlaws, he said he doesn't know how a gun works, so he hid behind some rocks, changed his shorts, and prepared for death. The crowd could be heard chanting Kane's name long after he was removed from the course, and some sort of honorary award for his efforts were discussed by officials. At the award ceremony, the title of Champion of the 2950 Foot Race was bestowed upon Kane, whose actual name is Kane Belord. Winners in the official categories are as follows: Bike class, O-Corp Racing Team; Buggy class, Turbor; Rover class, Kuroda. See you all on the course again next year hopefully. Now, over to something completely different. Is your flight to Area 18 delayed? Riker Memorial Spaceport might actually be the worst lit up building in all of Area 18. Being so dark, pilots are finding it difficult to lay in a correct flight path, as they need to rely on visual mapping. Riker Memorial does not even have a navigational marker. With increasing storms and occasional foggy nights, Riker Memorial, Area 18's pride and beacon, has ironically become one of the most difficult places to find. Moving on, as it has been increasingly popular for civilians to run privately owned emergency services and also having patients recover in private medical facilities, EasyHab are considering to sue several governments throughout the system, as EasyHab claim their contracts with the public emergency services states that EasyHab will not be subject to competition. Private investigators who have acquired copies of these contracts are saying that EasyHab are twisting the words of the contracts and are gasping for air like the dying business they are. Surely, EasyHab will lose out on some of their revenue as patients are beginning to choose more practical solutions, but while they are waiting to move through with their legal action, they're trying to retain customers by offering light therapy facilities and other amenities in their newly opened orbital station HABs. We will follow this story as it unfolds. That's all we had for today. I'm Mr Zark, and you are wiser than yesterday. Good night.